I never questioned myself until he entered my life. Freshman year felt like a reset button. New city, new people, new everything. I wasn't scared. At least, not in the way you'd think. It wasn't the classes. It wasn't the cafeteria food or getting lost on campus. What scared me was the idea of someone seeing through me. Because all my life, I was the guy who laughed the loudest, dated girls, and talked football like it was religion. And I did like girls. At least, I thought I did. Until I didn't. My dorm room was small. 2 beds, 2 desks, 1 window that looked out over a parking lot. But to me, it felt like a clean slate. I was alone for maybe 15 minutes, unpacking my shirts and trying to act like I belonged there when the door creaked open. He stepped in, dragging 2 bags. Slim, a little messy, with this casual energy that made the room shift instantly. He dropped the stuff and looked at me. "You must be Nate." I nodded. "Yeah, you're Jordan." He offered his hand. Firm shake, warm smile. And just like that, I was hyper-aware of how close he stood. How my pulse ticked up. How I didn't hate it. He claimed the bed near the window, tossed his hoodie on it, plugged in a speaker, and started playing soft indie music. I should have said something cool, something roommate bonding. But all I said was, "You like the paper kites?" He turned and grinned. "Dude, they're my comfort band." I smiled back, trying not to overthink the word comfort. And from that moment, Jordan wasn't just a roommate. He was something else. That night, we stayed up talking. Not small talk. Real stuff. Favorite movies. Worst fears. He told me about the scar on his knee from a skateboarding fall. I told him about the time I got lost in the woods and cried for hours. He didn't laugh. He just listened. And when he laughed at something I said, I swear it lit up the room. By midnight, I knew 2 things. 1, Jordan was not what I expected. And 2, I was completely, utterly screwed because I couldn't stop staring at his smile and wondering why it made my stomach flip. The next day, we explored campus together. We went to orientation, picked up schedules, got lost trying to find the bookstore. Every time he walked next to me, his shoulder brushed mine. I told myself it was an accident, but it kept happening. And I didn't mind. I minded that I didn't mind. That night, in the quiet of our room, he pulled out his sketchbook. He drew, without music, without talking, just a scratch of pencil on paper. I couldn't help but peek. "What are you drawing?" He angled the book away, smiled. "It's not done yet." I wanted to ask if it was me, which was stupid. It wasn't. Of course not. But the way he looked at me, it made me wonder. That night, I couldn't sleep. His breathing was steady in the dark, just a few feet away. And I kept thinking, what if this isn't one-sided? What if he feels it too? I didn't dare ask, didn't dare hope. But something about Jordan, the way he talked to me, the way he listened, it was like he saw something in me that I'd never let anyone see before. And somehow, I didn't want to hide it anymore. The first time he called me Natey, I didn't correct him. No one ever called me that. But from him, it didn't sound dumb. It sounded warm. We were walking back from a late-night pizza run. The campus was almost silent, except the sound of our shoes and distant laughter. "You always walk like you're on a mission, Natey." I laughed, maybe blushed. "I've got pizza on my mind. It's serious." He smiled like he was cataloging the moment, like he'd draw it later. There were times I caught him sketching in class. Quick strokes, confident lines. Like his pencil knew something the rest of US didn't. One afternoon, while he was in the shower, his sketchbook was open on his bed. I didn't mean to look. Really, I didn't. But the page was right there. And when I saw it, my heart stopped. It was me, sitting at the desk, leaning on one hand, laughing. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. and the way he drew me, like I mattered. I closed the sketchbook quietly, sat on my bed, tried to pretend nothing happened. When he came out, towel over his shoulder, hair wet and messy, he looked at me and paused. "You okay?" "Yeah, just tired." He didn't push. He never did. But I think he knew. That weekend, he asked if I want to come home with him. "My mom makes this lemon chicken thing that'll change your life." I was stunned. "You sure?" "Yeah, she'll love you. You're polite, and you eat like a vacuum." I laughed, said yes, and try not to think too hard about why it meant so much. His house was cozy, smelled like cinnamon and books. His mom hugged me like she already knew me. His little sister teased him nonstop. And for a while, I forgot to be on guard. That night, we stayed up in his room. Lights off, soft music playing. He lay on his bed. I lay on mine. You ever think about, he started, then stopped. About what? Just stuff, like who we really are, who we're supposed to be. My throat felt tight. All the time. He turned toward me in the dark. I couldn't see his face, but I felt his presence. "Sometimes I think I know," he said. "And then you do something, say something, and suddenly I don't." I sat up, heartbeat loud in my ears. "Like what?" I asked. He didn't answer, just said, "Good night, Nady." And somehow I didn't sleep a second, because that voice, that nickname, it wasn't just friendly anymore. It was loaded, charged, and I didn't know what to do with that. The next few days back on campus felt different. He didn't bring up that night. Neither did I. But there was a weight in the air, like a song stuck on a single note, waiting to change. We were still us, laughing, sharing snacks, walking together. But every moment felt closer. Every silence felt louder. And I couldn't tell if I was imagining it, or if he really was looking at me longer than before. One night, the power went out in the dorms. Some electrical glitch. The hallway buzzed with complaints. But in our room, it was just quiet. Jordan lit a candle from his drawer, set it between our beds. Warm, flickering glow danced on his face. "Cozy apocalypse," he said. I laughed. "You planning to sketch by candlelight?" "I was thinking of sketching you by candlelight." I froze. But when I looked up, he was serious. No smirk. No joke in his tone. "You don't have to," he added quickly. "It's just you look different in this light." I swallowed hard. "Okay," I whispered. I didn't know what I was agreeing to, but I knew I didn't want to say no. He picked up his pencil, and I sat there in the glow, watching him study me. Minutes passed, only the sound of soft strokes on paper. I didn't move, didn't speak. And then, "You always look away when I look at you." I blinked. "I don't." "You do." He lowered his pencil, set the sketchbook aside. "Why?" I felt exposed, like the candlelight was a spotlight. "Because if I don't, I might not look away." His eyes met mine. No hiding. "Then don't." He crossed the space between us. So slow, so deliberate. Sat on my bed. So close, I could feel his breath. "Nady," that nickname again. This time, a whisper, a confession. "Do you want this too?" I didn't answer with words. I leaned in, and for the first time, our lips met. Soft, careful, like the world might fall apart if we moved too fast. But it didn't. It stayed exactly the same, only better. When we pulled back, he smiled. "I've wanted to do that since move-in day." I laughed, quiet, breathless. "You should have said something." "So should you." We didn't talk about labels, didn't talk about what it meant. We just sat there, together, in the candlelight. No fear, no pretending. Just me and him. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't scared anymore. Part 2. After that night, everything changed. And yet, nothing changed at all. We didn't make a big deal of it, didn't declare ourselves anything. But the silence between us felt fuller now, more alive. He still played his music when he studied, still sketched in the afternoons. But now, sometimes he'd glance at me and smirk like we shared a secret. And we did. One night turned into two, two into three. We didn't always kiss. Sometimes it was just our shoulders touching, as we sat side by side on his bed, reading in silence. And sometimes that was even better. But the thing about secrets, they don't stay hidden forever. Not in a place like college, where walls are thin and rumors are louder than truth. It started with glances in the hallway, little shifts in how people looked at us. A raised brow, a whisper behind a hand. I tried to ignore it. Jordan didn't even flinch. Let them wonder, he'd say. We don't owe anyone anything. I admired him for that. Wished I could be that fearless. But inside, my mind was spiraling. What if someone from back home saw something? What if word got back to my parents? What if this wasn't just a phase? And I actually had to face who I really was? One afternoon, I skipped class, sat by the river, phone in my hand, thumb hovering over my mom's contact. I didn't call, but I thought about it. Jordan found me there later. Sat beside me, didn't speak for a while. Then he asked, "Are you scared of loving me?" I didn't answer right away, because the answer wasn't simple. Was I scared of him? No. I trusted him more than anyone, but I was scared of everything else. The looks, the labels, the conversations I wasn't ready for. I'm scared of what comes next, I finally said. He nodded. Me too. We sat there as the sun started to dip below the trees, and in that golden light, his hand found mine. No words, just warmth. And suddenly, the fear didn't feel so loud. Midterms rolled in like a thunderstorm. Everyone was stressed, but Jordan was calm as ever. Sketchbook still open, music still soft. But me, I was cracking, not from the exams, from everything else. I hadn't told anyone, not my friends back home, not my family. And it was starting to feel like I was living in two different worlds. The world where I laughed with Jordan and held his hand in the dark, and the world where I was still straight Nate to everyone else. One afternoon, after my stats exam, I got a text from an unknown number. "Nice sketch. Hope your parents like it too." My blood ran cold. Attached was a photo, a blurry shot of Jordan and me on campus. He was showing me something on his sketchbook, and I was laughing. Our shoulders touching. Too close. Too much. I didn't show Jordan. Not then. I told him I had a headache and skipped dinner. Laid in bed with the lights off. Heart pounding. Who took that photo? Who sent it? And worse, what did they want? The next day, I avoided him. Didn't answer his texts. Left early for class. He noticed. Of course he did. By evening, he confronted me. "Are you mad at me or something?" "No." "Then what's going on, Natey?" The nickname hit different now. It felt like a question, a test. Someone sent me a photo. I said, "Of us." He blinked. "Okay, and..." "They said they'd send it to my parents." He didn't speak right away. Then, "So what? Let them." I looked at him like he was insane. "You don't understand." "I do." His voice was soft but firm. "But hiding won't stop them. You don't get it. My dad, he's not like yours. He wouldn't smile and hug me if I came out." Jordan stepped closer. "Then you don't have to tell him. But you don't have to run either." "I don't know what to do." "Then don't do anything right now. Just let me be here with you." And somehow, that calmed the storm in my head. He always knew what to say when my words failed. The message didn't come again. No follow-up, no threats, just silence. But the damage was already done. For the next few days, I lived in constant paranoia, checking over my shoulder, staring down anyone who stared too long at us. I hated it. Hated that I let fear take up so much space. Jordan, though, he stayed the same. Steady, kind, grounded like always. And even though I was drowning inside, his presence kept me just above the surface. One night, after a late study session in the library, we headed back to our dorm. The hallway was quiet, lights dim. He grabbed my wrist. "Hey," he whispered. I turned. He leaned in, kissed me, right there, just once, quick. But it was real, open, no hiding. My heart raced. I looked around, but no one was there. Still, I panicked. "Why did you do that?" I hissed. "Because I wanted to. What if someone saw?" He looked at me calmly. "Then they saw two people who care about each other." I didn't respond. I just walked faster. And behind me, he didn't follow. That night, we didn't speak. And the next day, he left early, didn't say goodbye. The silence between us grew. I kept waiting for him to fix it, to reach out. But this time, he didn't. That weekend, I went home for my sister's birthday. And that's when everything broke. My mom was in the kitchen, baking. Dad was on the couch. I left my phone on the charger. Didn't think twice. But sometime that evening, he picked it up, looked at the lock screen. A text had popped up from Jordan. Still thinking about that kiss. My father didn't say a word, just handed me the phone when I came back into the room. "Who's Jordan?" he asked. I froze. My sister walked in, and I felt the air in the room change. "He's my friend," I said. "Looks like more than a friend." I looked down, heart pounding. "Yeah," I said, "he is." It was the first time I said it aloud, and it felt like 1,000 bricks off my chest and 1,000 more crashing down. Dad stood up, didn't yell, didn't say anything at all. He walked into the other room, and just like that, the silence returned. Part 3. The drive back to campus was quiet. Too quiet. I had my phone in my lap the whole time, waiting for Jordan to text. But nothing came. After what happened with my dad, I thought maybe Jordan would be the first person I'd want to talk to. But I didn't reach out, and he didn't either. When I walked back into the dorm room, he was lying on his bed, headphones on, eyes closed. The sketchbook was beside him, open, half a page filled with the curve of someone's neck. I stood there longer than I should have, watching, waiting. Finally I spoke. "Hey!" He pulled the headphones off, sat up slowly. "Hey!" The distance between us felt sharper than ever, like we were standing on opposite sides of crack that neither of us had the courage to cross. "Sorry I didn't text," I said. "Yeah, me too." Silence. I sat on my bed, picked at a loose thread on the blanket. "My dad saw your text." His eyes widened. What did he say? Nothing, really. He just walked away. Jordan nodded. "That's something, I guess." "Yeah." Another pause. This one felt like it might never end. "I don't want to keep doing this," I said finally. "Doing what?" "This half in, half out thing. Pretending like nothing's happening when everything is." He looked at me for a long time. Then, "Don't pretend." "That easy." "No, but it's honest." I stood, walked to his side of the room, sat down beside him. Our knees touched, just barely. "I don't want to lose this. You, whatever this is." He smiled finally, but there was something tired in it. Then "Stop hiding from it." He reached out, took my hand, and for once, I didn't pull away. That night, we didn't kiss, didn't say anything romantic or dramatic, but we lay in the same bed, his head on my chest, our breaths slowly sinking. And for the first time in a while, it felt like maybe, just maybe, we were going to be okay. A week passed, Things between us were easier. Not perfect, not labeled, but real. We started doing small things. Things that didn't feel like a big deal until I realized they were. Like walking to class together, eating lunch in the quad, shoulders brushing. He started calling me Nady again in public, and I didn't flinch anymore. But comfort is fragile. It doesn't take much to break it. It was a Thursday when it happened. Cloudy sky, noisy halls. We were in the dining hall, just the two of us, laughing over something dumb, probably fries. And that's when I heard it. Look at these fags. Time slowed. The words sliced through the air, like a glass bottle smashing against a wall. I looked up. Two guys, maybe from a football team, grinning, watching us. Jordan turned, met their gaze, didn't blink. You got something to say it to my face, he said. Calm, steady. They laughed, shook their heads, walked away. But it was enough. The entire dining hall had gone quiet. Eyes were on us. I stood, left my tray, just walked out. He followed. Outside I paced, angry, ashamed, confused. Are you okay? He asked gently. No, I'm not okay. I snapped. How can you act like that didn't bother you? Because I've heard worse. Because I don't care what they think. Well, I do. He stepped back, like I'd slapped him. I'm sorry. His voice barely above a whisper. I'm not used to this, to being seen. He didn't speak, just looked at me, really looked. Do you regret it? What? Us. Whatever this is. Do you wish it never happened? My heart stopped. No, I whispered. I just wish it didn't have to hurt so much. He nodded, then stepped closer. Being with you never hurts, Nady. What hurts is you pretending we don't matter. He didn't wait for me to reply, just walked away. And for the first time, I realized I might actually lose him. That night, the room felt colder than usual. Jordan didn't come back until late. I pretended to be asleep, but I wasn't. I heard the door click quietly behind him. He moved slowly, like he didn't want to disturb me. I wanted to turn around, say something, anything, but I stayed still, frozen by my own fear and guilt. The silence between us now felt louder than all the things we had ever said. The next morning, he was already gone. No note, no message, nothing. It was a Saturday, but it felt like the start of something breaking. I wandered campus for hours, trying to find him, but he was nowhere. His favorite bench by the art building, empty. The cafe by the theater department, no sign. It wasn't until sunset that I saw him near the soccer field. He was sitting in the bleachers, knees pulled to his chest, staring at the sky like it could fix everything. I climbed up and sat beside him. You weren't in the room this morning. Yeah, I needed space. His voice was tired. I nodded. I get that. Silence again, but not the kind that healed, the kind that widened gaps. I'm sorry for what I said. I told him at the dining hall for walking away. I know it's hard for you, he said. I really do. It's not just about being scared. It's about never even imagining this could be real. Us, me feeling this way. He looked at me then, really looked. Do you love me? The air caught in my throat. No one had ever asked me that before. Not like this. I think I do. I whispered. Then why do you keep making me feel like I'm a mistake? I looked down, fingers clenched, chest aching. Because I don't know how to not be scared yet, but I don't want to lose you. He was quiet for a long time. Then start fighting for me, for us, or let me go. The wind picked up, leaves scattered, and all I could think was, what if this is it? What if I've already lost the one person who saw me and didn't run? I stood up, looked down at him. Don't go anywhere, please. Just wait. And I ran. Not away, but towards something I should have faced long ago. Toward my own truth. Part 4. I didn't stop running. Past the science hall. Past the fountain where he once sketched me without asking. Every step was like shedding fear. Until I reached the one place I never thought I'd willingly go. The campus LGBTQ+ center. It was almost closing time. Just one student at the desk. I walked in, heart racing, palms sweaty. "Hi," I said, breathless. "Is it okay if I just sit?" They smiled. "Yeah, of course." I sat in the corner, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel out of place. I didn't say anything to anyone, didn't explain why I was there. But it didn't matter, because nobody needed me to pretend. I stayed for an hour, just breathing, just being. And when I finally left, I knew what I had to do. I texted Jordan, "Come to the art building rooftop. Please." An hour later, he showed up. The skyline behind him glowed orange and violet. He looked tired, worried, beautiful. "Hey," he said carefully. "Hey." I stepped closer, so close I could feel the heat off his chest. "I went to the center today," I said, sat there, didn't speak, but I was there. His eyes widened slightly. How did it feel? Like I wasn't lying to myself anymore. He exhaled, like he'd been holding his breath for days. "I'm scared, Jordan," I admitted, "but I'm more scared of losing you than I am of being seen." "So what now?" His voice was soft, hopeful. "Now." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. A drawing. Of him. From memory. Now I start showing people who I really am. Starting with you. He took the sketch with trembling fingers. Looked at it. Looked at me. And then he kissed me. Not in secret. Not in shadows. But on a rooftop. Under sky. That was finally ours. Monday morning. Classes resumed. Campus returned to its usual noise and rhythm. But something inside me had changed. I wasn't hiding anymore. Not from myself. Not from Jordan. The fear was still there. In small ways. In hallway glances. In the pause before holding his hand. But for once, I let the fear exist without controlling me. Jordan noticed. And he didn't say anything. He didn't need to. He just smiled more, laughed more, stayed close, like my gravity had finally stopped shifting. But of course, life doesn't pause, just because we found something real. That afternoon, as we were leaving class, his phone rang. He looked at the screen and stiffened. "It's my dad," he muttered. I gave him space, watched from a distance, as he walked away to take the call. His voice got louder, not yelling, but hurt. When he returned, his eyes were red. "He knows," he said quietly. I swallowed. What did he say? "He's disappointed, embarrassed, told me not to come home for Thanksgiving." My heart broke right there. He sat on the edge of the fountain, hands clenched. I knew it would happen eventually. I just didn't think it'd hurt this much. I sat beside him. No speeches, no promises, just presence. "You don't have to be okay right now." "But I don't want to fall apart either," he said. I reached over, touched his hand. "Then fall apart a little. I'll be here to help you build back up." His head dropped to my shoulder, and for a moment, we didn't speak. We just listened to the sound of water trickling, to our hearts beating quietly in sync. Later that night, back at the dorm, he pulled out his sketchbook again. But this time, he handed it to me. Inside were pages of me. Me laughing, sleeping, looking out the window. He'd been drawing me, this whole time. "This is how I see you," he said. "Not scared, not hiding, just you." I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. I just kissed him, slow, soft, honest. And in that moment, despite the world outside and the pain inside, I knew this was love. Messy, terrifying, beautiful. The next morning, A knock on our dorm door woke me up. Jordan was still asleep beside me, his face soft in the early light, like nothing could touch him here. I slipped out of bed and cracked the door open. It was Aaron, his older brother. He looked rough, hood up, eyes tired. "Hey," he said quietly, "can we talk?" I stepped into the hallway, closing the door gently behind me. "He told you?" I asked. Aaron nodded. "Last night, he was crying." Something inside me twisted. "What are you doing here?" I wanted to see for myself, to understand. He glanced at the door behind me. I didn't handle it great when he told me. I froze, didn't say anything. "What do you want to say now?" I asked. Aaron sighed, ran a hand through his hair. "I don't get it, but I know he's never looked this okay before. Even when he's hurting, he's solid now, because of you." I stared at him, not sure whether to speak. "I just want to be the brother he needs," he added, "even if I'm late." Behind us, the door creaked open. Jordan stood there, blanket wrapped around his shoulders, eyes flicking between us. "You came," he whispered. Aaron stepped forward, hesitant. "Yeah, I'm sorry for not being there sooner." Jordan didn't speak, just wrapped his arms around his brother, tight. I turned away, let them have that moment. Later, we all walked to the student lounge together, ordered bad coffee, talked about nothing and everything. Aaron told stories from when they were kids. Jordan laughed like it was the first time in days. There was healing in that hour, quiet, careful healing. When Aaron left, he pulled me aside. "Whatever happens with Dad, don't let go of him." "Okay." I nodded. "I won't." That night, Jordan drew again. Only this time, he handed me the sketch. It was us, not kissing, not holding hands, just sitting on the floor, leaning into each other, smiling. "This is what I want," he said. "A life where that feels normal." I looked at the sketch, and then at him. "Then we'll build it, one honest day at a time." Outside, the night was still, but inside, we were becoming something stronger, something real. Part 5. It was the week before Thanksgiving. The campus was thinning out, students packing up for home. Jordan didn't speak about his dad again, but I could feel it, the silence weighing heavy between us. He was avoiding something, and I was afraid to ask what. That Tuesday night, I found him outside, sitting on the same rooftop where we first kissed. He was staring up at the sky, knees pulled in, jacket zipped all the way to his chin. I sat next to him, quietly. "You okay?" I asked. He called. Jordan said, without looking at me, "My dad said I could come home if I acted normal." I didn't speak, because what do you say to that? He turned to face me, eyes glassy. He wants me to pretend I'm not me, like the past few weeks didn't happen, like you didn't happen. "Are you going?" I asked, quiet, careful. He paused, then shook his head slowly. "No, I can't go back there and erase myself." I reached for his hand. He held it. "You don't owe him your silence," I whispered. He nodded, but his face still held 1,000 questions. "You ever wish this was easier?" he asked. "All the time." We sat like that for a long time, wind cutting across our faces, but his hand stayed in mine. The next day, he got a message from his mom. "Your father doesn't speak for both of us. I miss you." He cried, right there in the hallway. I held him while students passed by, some staring, most ignoring. And I didn't care, because for once, we weren't hiding. That night, Jordan made a decision. "I want you to come with me. Home, just for a day." My breath caught. "Are you sure?" "No, but I need to stop being afraid of where I came from. I need to walk into that house as who I really am." I squeezed his hand. "Then I'm with you." The next morning, we packed a small bag, caught a train. Neither of us spoke much, just held on to each other in the quiet hum of the ride. When we arrived, his mom was waiting on the porch. She ran to him, held him tight. "You look tired," she said, brushing his hair back. "I'm okay now." He smiled faintly. Then she turned to me and pulled me into a hug. "Thank you for helping me okay." I didn't know what to say, but I didn't need to. She already knew. Later, we sat down for dinner, just the three of us. No mention of his dad, no tension, just laughter, warm food, and small beginnings. Outside, it began to snow, light, barely sticking. Inside, we finally felt like something close to home. Winter break ended, but something had shifted in both of us. We came back to campus not just as roommates, but as something real. People noticed. Some smiled, some stared, others whispered behind books or texted in class. I'd be lying if I said it didn't get to me. Jordan handled it better, or maybe he was just better at pretending. Me, I still flinched at side glances, still hesitated before reaching for his hand in public. "It's okay," he told me one day. "Go at your own pace." But how long could I stay frozen, while he kept showing up as himself? One night, we were invited to a party, a friend of a friend's apartment. I didn't want to go. Too many people, too many eyes. But Jordan nudged me gently. "Let's just show up. We don't have to stay long." So we went. The place was packed. Music too loud. Beer spilled on cheap tile floors. A guy from my English class recognized me. "Yo, didn't know you and Jordan were a thing." I froze. He laughed. "Relax, man. It's cool. You do you." He walked off, but I couldn't breathe. I pulled Jordan aside. "I need air." We ended up on the balcony, cold wind biting at our skin. "Why does this still feel so hard?" I whispered. "Because it matters," he said. "If it didn't, it wouldn't scare us so much." I looked at him, really looked, the way his hair blew in the wind, the soft determination in his eyes. "You're braver than me," I said. "Maybe, but you keep showing up anyway. That's bravery, too." He reached for my hand, and this time, I let him take it. In front of the window, in front of anyone who cared to look. And yeah, some did. But I didn't let go. Later that night, we walked home under streetlights. The air smelled like winter. He stopped me near the campus bookstore. "Remember when we met here?" "Yeah, you asked if I had changed for a coffee." He laughed. "And you rolled your eyes." "Because I thought you were hitting on me." I was. We stood there smiling. "Let's not pretend anymore." I said, "Let's stop hiding." He leaned in, kissed me under a flickering streetlight. And this time, I kissed him back, without flinching. The world didn't stop. People didn't cheer. But for once, we weren't surviving. We were living. By February, we were something solid. Study dates turned into sleepovers. His drawings filled the edges of my notes. We had routines, inside jokes, shared playlists. But routine doesn't mean easy. Because love, real love, has a way of shining light on the things you try to keep buried. It started small. Jordan began pulling away without realizing it, skipping dinner plans, not replying to texts as quickly. When I finally asked, "Is something wrong?" he shook his head. "Just tired. A lot on my mind." But that answer didn't sit right. He wasn't tired. He was distant. And then one night, he didn't come back to our dorm. No text, no call, nothing. I stayed up until 3 a.m., heart racing, thoughts spiraling. Had I done something wrong? Was he regretting this? Was he safe? He came in around sunrise, eyes bloodshot. "Where were you?" I asked, voice low. I couldn't sleep. Went for a walk. Cleared my head. "You scared me." He sat down slowly. "I know. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's too much. Being this, being seen." He wasn't angry, just broken. You think I'm strong, but I'm not. Not always. I knelt beside him, held his hands. You don't have to be strong all the time. You just have to let me in. He closed his eyes. I don't want to become a burden. Not to you, not to anyone. That word, burden, I hated it. You're not. You're human. And I love you. It slipped out, but I didn't take it back. Jordan froze. You love me? I nodded. I do. Even on your hard days. Especially on your hard days. He didn't say it back. Not right away. But he leaned forward and pressed his forehead to mine. And in that silence, I knew he felt it too. That morning, he stayed. Didn't leave for class. Didn't sketch or scroll. Just laid there, his hand wrapped around mine, like it was the only anchor he had. Sometimes love isn't loud. It's not perfect timing or perfect words. Sometimes it's just staying. And he stayed. Part 6. The next few days, Jordan was quiet, but present. He clung to routine like it was a life vest. Classes, lunches, late-night Netflix in bed. But I could tell he was still holding something back. A storm was gathering. I just didn't know what would break first. It happened on a Tuesday. We were walking through the student union when his phone buzzed. He froze. I looked down at the screen. A name. His father. Do you want to take it? I asked gently. He stared at the phone until it stopped ringing. Then, without a word, he walked to the nearest bathroom. I didn't follow. Something in his eyes told me he needed a minute. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. My stomach knotted. I pushed the bathroom door open slightly. Jordan? No response. I stepped inside, and there he was, sitting on the floor, beside the sink, knees pulled to his chest. He called to say he's sick, he whispered, like really sick. My breath caught. Your dad? He nodded, said he wants to talk, said he wants to see me, just in case. A swirl of emotions ran through me. Anger, confusion, empathy. What are you going to do? I asked. I don't know. His voice cracked. Part of me wants to scream. Part of me wants to run to him. I hate that he still has this much power over me. I sat beside him, not touching, just close enough. You don't have to decide tonight, I said softly, but whatever you choose, I'll be with you. He turned to me, eyes wet, raw. I'm scared of getting hurt again, of forgiving someone who might not deserve it. You can be scared, I told him, and still choose peace. For your sake, not his. That night, he didn't sleep, just laid in bed, staring at the ceiling. And in the morning, he said it. I want to see him. So we packed a bag, again, and took the train back to that same house, but under different skies. This time, his father opened the door. He looked older, thinner, softer somehow. You came, he said. Yeah. Jordan's voice barely carried. They sat on the couch. No yelling, no fireworks, just silence. And then his father spoke. I was wrong. I was scared and stupid, and I thought if I ignored it, it'd go away. I don't expect forgiveness, but I don't want to leave this earth without trying. Jordan said nothing, just stared. Then he whispered, You hurt me? His father nodded. I know. Tears welled in both their eyes. And slowly, Jordan stood up and hugged him, tight, longer than I expected. Not because it fixed everything, but because it was a start. When we returned to campus, something between us had shifted. Jordan seemed lighter, not completely healed, but as if letting go of that weight had made room for breath. But that space we cleared, it made room for other things too. Questions, insecurities, unspoken fears that had been waiting in the dark. One night, after dinner, he stared at me across the dorm room. Do you ever wonder if this is just temporary? He asked. I blinked. What do you mean? Us. This. What if it's just college? What if it doesn't survive the real world? I felt a pit form in my chest. Do you want it to survive? I asked carefully. He looked away. Of course I do, but wanting something doesn't always make it work. His words stung, because deep down, I'd been thinking the same thing. We were safe here, in this little bubble of shared lectures, late-night walks, and stolen kisses. But what came after? After graduation? After job offers in different states? After real life? I don't have all the answers, I said softly, but I know this isn't just a phase for me. He met my gaze. It's not a phase for me either. It's just, I've never seen people like us make it long-term. Have you? I hadn't. Not in my family. Not in my town. But then again, I'd never seen anyone like us. We could be the first, I said. He smiled faintly. You're such a dreamer. And you're scared. We laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was the first time we admitted that out loud. That night, we curled up on the tiny dorm bed, legs tangled, breath sinking. I love you, I whispered. He didn't hesitate this time. I love you too. It wasn't some grand declaration, just truth. Simple, clear, ours. Later that week, Jordan got an email, a summer internship in New York. Prestigious, competitive, everything he wanted, but it meant leaving. For 3 whole months, he told me in the campus cafe. I haven't accepted yet. Why not? I asked, trying to sound supportive. Because of you. My heart stuttered. You can't stay because of me, I said. Not if it means resenting me later. But what if we lose what we have? Then maybe it wasn't as strong as we thought. He stared at me like he was memorizing my face. I don't want to lose this. Then go and come back to me. It was the first time we chose the future over fear. The day Jordan left, the campus felt too quiet. His side of the room was half empty, closet doors ajar, sheets stripped, a note left on my pillow. I'll miss you every second. Jay. I carried that note with me, in my wallet, in my heart. The first week apart was bearable. Texts, voice notes, FaceTime before bed. But screens can only do so much. I missed the way he smelled after a shower, the sound of him humming while drawing, the weight of his hand in mine. Long distance tested me, not just my patience, but my belief in us, especially when I saw couples walking around campus, hand in hand. I wanted that, and I hated how selfish it felt, to need him like that. He was thriving in New York, meeting people, making connections, sending photos from rooftops and art galleries. I was proud. But also, I was jealous. Jealous of the city that got to have him. Jealous of the people who saw his smile every day. One night, I called him while walking back from the library. Hey, I said, you busy? A bit. Dinner with the team. Can I call you after? Yeah, of course. He didn't call that night. Or the next. When he finally did, his voice sounded tired. Distant. Sorry, the schedule's been crazy. It's okay, I lied. But it wasn't. Because in those missed calls and silences, a new fear crept in. What if the city was giving him everything he needed, and I was just the thing he left behind? I didn't say any of that. I just said, I miss you. And he replied, I miss you too. But I couldn't tell if he meant it the same way I did. Mid-July, he sent a photo of a sketch, a city skyline, and 2 tiny figures holding hands. It's us, he wrote, when this is over. I cried when I saw it, because it reminded me that even when words felt thin, he was still trying. And sometimes love is just that, choosing to try again. That weekend, he called and said, I bought a plane ticket. Wait, what? End of the month. Weekend trip. I need to see you. My heart flipped. You really mean it? Nate, you have no idea how much I miss you. I'm sorry I haven't been good at showing it. Sometimes the smallest promises become the biggest lifelines. He was coming back, even if just for a weekend. And suddenly, everything felt okay again. Part 7. The weekend he flew back. Felt like something out of a dream. I stood at the small campus bus stop, watching the rideshare app update every few seconds. And then he stepped out, backpack slung over one shoulder. Same hoodie, same tired, crooked smile. I didn't even say hello. I ran straight into him. He caught me, arms tight around my waist, chin tucked into my shoulder like he never left. You smell the same, he whispered. So do you? I whispered back. We walked back to the dorm, fingers intertwined, like no time had passed. But time had passed, and with it, some cracks had grown. Saturday night, we sat at the local diner. He pushed fries around his plate. Silent. What's going on? I finally asked. He looked up, eyes darker than usual. There's something I haven't told you. My stomach sank. Okay. There's a guy, someone I met through the internship. We talked, hung out. Nothing happened, but I think he liked me. I blinked. Did you like him? He didn't answer right away. I was lonely, confused. I miss you so much. And he was there. Did anything happen? No, not really. Just closeness. Not physical, but it scared me. I nodded slowly. Anger, sadness, insecurity. It all bubbled up, but I kept it quiet. You told me. That means something. I love you, he said quickly. I didn't do anything wrong, but I wanted to be honest. Honesty hurts, but dishonesty ruins. So I chose to listen. We walked back in silence. Not angry, just processing. That night, he lay beside me in bed, arms wrapped around my waist. Do you still believe in us? He asked into the dark. I turned, looked him in the eyes. I do, but love isn't just feelings, Jordan. It's choices, and I'm choosing us. Are you? His answer was a whisper. Every day. Sunday came too fast. We stood at the same spot he arrived. Next time, I'll come to you. I promised. I'd like that. He kissed me softly. And then he was gone. But this time, I didn't feel like something was ending. It felt like something was beginning. Because we'd hit a bump, and we didn't break. We bent, we shook, we feared, we doubted. But in the end, we chose each other. That weekend proved something. That even through distance, doubt, and distraction, real love still finds a way. Senior year began with the weight of everything we'd survived. We weren't the same boys who met in that cramped dorm room. We were still us, but braver, more weathered, more real. Jordan returned to campus late August, dragging 2 suitcases and a paint-stained tote bag. I was waiting at the front steps. He dropped everything and kissed me like no one was watching. And for once, I didn't care who saw. New year, he smiled. New chaos. We settled into an off-campus apartment, shared rent, fought over laundry days, burnt spaghetti twice. And every night, we curled up on the couch, exhausted and grateful. But comfort, it can be dangerous too. Because when things get too normal, you stop talking about the important stuff, like the future. One night, I found him hunched over his laptop, brows furrowed. Grad school apps. I guessed. He nodded. 3 schools, 2 in New York, and 1 in London. London. The word hit like a dart. You're thinking of going international? I asked, just keeping options open. I tried to keep my tone light, but something inside me shifted. We hadn't talked about what came after. I was applying for jobs here, Clothes. Safe. He was dreaming farther. Would you go without me? I asked quietly. He hesitated. If it's the right program. Maybe. A crack formed. Small. But I felt it. Okay, I said. That's fair. I wanted to be supportive. Of course I did. But that night, I stared at the ceiling while he slept beside me. And I wondered if love was enough to hold two people chasing different maps. Over the next few weeks, we fell into a weird limbo. Still laughing, still loving, but something unspoken lingered, like we were both waiting for someone to say it. One evening, I cooked dinner, his favorite, pasta with homemade garlic bread. He came home late. Again. Sorry, he muttered. Studio hours ran long. We ate in silence, forks clinking, eyes avoiding. I feel like we're pretending. I finally said, pretending what? That this isn't coming to an end. He put down his fork. It's not an end, Nate. It's just a fork in a road. And we're taking different paths? We haven't decided that yet. But you're thinking about it. He didn't deny it. He just looked at me with those eyes, the same ones that once said, I'm not ready. Only now, they were saying, I might be leaving. And I didn't know how to hold on to someone who was already stepping away. The applications were submitted, 3 to New York, 1 to London, and none of them were here. With me, I didn't bring it up. Neither did he. It was easier to pretend we were still the same. But we weren't. We were two people, walking through a fog, trying not to admit we'd lost a map. One evening, I came home early. He was on the couch, laptop open, staring at an email. He didn't hear me come in. Jordan? He jumped, slammed the laptop shut too fast. Hey, you're early. What was that? Nothing. Just nothing. The lie sat heavy in the air. Later that night, I waited for him to come to bed. He didn't. He fell asleep on the couch, phone clutched in his hand, and something inside me snapped. The next morning, I confronted him. Did you get an acceptance letter? He paused. London, he said finally, full scholarship. I tried to smile. That's amazing. I didn't tell you because I was scared. I didn't know what it meant for us. It means we talk. We decide. Together. I didn't want you to feel like you had to ask me to stay. And I didn't want to be the reason you left everything behind. The truth hung there between two people, desperate not to hurt each other. Do you want me to stay? He asked. No, I said, I want you to want to stay. His face crumbled. I don't know what I want, Nate. I love you, but this is everything I've dreamed of. I nodded, tears hot behind my eyes. Then you have to go. We both knew what that meant. Not a breakup, not officially, but a crack so wide, we didn't know how to fill it. He moved through the rest of the semester, like he was already packing. I smiled when he smiled, laughed when he did. But every time he made a London reference, something in me closed off. We still kissed, still slept in the same bed, but love had grown quieter, like it was waiting to see how the story ended. One night, weeks before graduation, we lay facing each other in bed. Do you think we'll make it? I asked. I don't know. Do you want us to? He reached out, fingertips brushing my cheek. More than anything. But sometimes, wanting isn't enough. Part 8. Graduation came, faster than I was ready for. Caps, gowns, flashes of cameras, families cheering. But all I could hear was a silence between us. He looked amazing in his robe, hair a little messy, eyes tired, but glowing. We posed for photos, arms around each other, smiles wide. Everyone saw a happy couple. No one saw the crack. After the ceremony, we walked to our favorite bench, under the oak tree. It was the same place we sat, during our first week together. Back then, we were strangers. Now we were soulmates, trying not to fall apart. I leave in 2 weeks, he said. I know. The breeze tugged at my sleeves. I want to believe this won't end us, I said. It doesn't have to, but it might. We sat in silence, watching squirrels dart between trees, listening to laughter echo across campus. I don't want to say goodbye, he whispered. Then don't. But I have to go. I know. That was the cruelest part. We still loved each other. That hadn't changed. But love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means letting go so the other can grow. What do we do now? He asked. We live. We chase our dreams. We don't make promises we can't keep, but we also don't forget. He looked down, pulled something from his pocket, a folded piece of paper, worn, familiar. It was the note he left me, the day he went to New York. I've carried it this whole time, he said. I know. I reached into my wallet and pulled out the matching one, the sketch of us on the skyline. We exchanged them silently, as if to say, I'll carry this part of you, no matter where I go. When we got back to the apartment, we didn't speak much. We packed his things, folded clothes, sorted books. We paused at the doorway. This place was our first home, I said. He nodded. Thank you for letting me love you here. I want to say something more, but all I managed was, come back if you ever want to. He turned, kissed me once, long, deep, final. Then he left. I stood in the empty apartment, the sound of the door clicking behind him, echoing louder than any goodbye. And for the first time, I didn't cry, because I knew something now. Some people enter your life to change you forever, and no matter where they go, they never really leave. Jordan had given me love, growth, courage, and I'd carry him with me in every step forward. Maybe one day, our paths would cross again. Maybe not. But either way, this was not a sad ending. It was a beautiful beginning. The apartment felt bigger once he was gone. Or maybe I just felt smaller inside it. There were echoes in places that used to hold laughter, arguments, late-night confessions. I kept the sketch and his note in my bedside drawer. Sometimes I'd take them out just to hold them, like they might still be warm. London was 6 hours ahead, but in my heart, he felt both years away. And right beside me, I started a new job downtown, editorial assistant at a small magazine. Long hours, coffee runs, endless copy editing. But it kept my mind busy. My heart, that was a different story. Every time my phone buzzed, I'd hope it was him. Sometimes it was short messages, photos of cobblestone streets, coffee shops, rainy windows. Never I miss you, never come visit. Just fragments of a life he was building without me. I didn't blame him, but it hurt anyway. 3 months passed, then 6, then almost a year, until one night, my phone lit up with his name, a video call. I stared at the screen for a second too long, then answered. Hey, I said. There he was, same smile, slightly longer hair, eyes that still made my chest ache. Hi, he said. Wow, you look good. You too. Awkward pause. So what's up? He looked nervous, like he'd rehearsed this call 12 times. I'm coming home for a visit. Oh, I was wondering if maybe we could get coffee. My chest tightened, hope and fear, colliding in a single heartbeat. Okay, I said. Yeah, I'd like that. The call didn't last long, just enough to spark 1,000 questions. Why now? What did he want? Was he still in love with me? The day he arrived, it rained. Of course it did. We met at the same cafe, where we had our first real talk, the one that started everything. He walked in, shook off the cold, and smiled like nothing had changed. But everything had. "Hey," he said, pulling off his jacket. "Hey." We sat, ordered, caught up like old friends. Until, "I never stopped thinking about you," he said suddenly. I blinked. "Not once," he added. "Even when everything felt perfect over there. It wasn't, because it wasn't us." "Why didn't you say something?" I asked. "Because I was scared. You moved on." "I didn't." He reached across the table, fingers brushing mine. "I'm still in love with you, Nate." I stared at him, at the boy who once didn't know who he was, who grew into a man, who finally did. "I still love you, too," I whispered. His smile returned, brighter than the sun, finally breaking through the rain. We didn't have answers, didn't know what came next, but we had this moment. And for now, that was enough. The second time we fell in love was different. No butterflies, no stolen glances. This time, it was steady, earned, like returning home to something that had always been yours. After that coffee, we spent the next few days together. We walked the city, revisited old memories, the bench under the oak tree, the late-night diner. All those places that had held us before now welcomed us back, like we were never really gone. "You kept it?" he asked one night, seeing the sketch framed on my bookshelf. "Always." "I miss this version of you." "Which one?" I asked. "The one who makes me feel like I'm not lost anymore." That night, we didn't sleep apart. We didn't even talk much. We just held each other. Two people, no longer trying to figure it all out, but just being. Still, the world outside kept spinning. He wasn't back for good. London was still his home, at least for now. "So what do we do?" I asked one morning, coffee in hand, legs tangled under a shared blanket. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I don't want to go again, without a plan." We talked options. Maybe I'd visit. Maybe he'd apply to programs back here. Maybe we'd meet halfway. But for the first time, there was a we in the plan. "You still have that note?" I asked him. He smiled and pulled it from his wallet. Worn, faded, unchanged. "Let's write a new one," I said. We sat together at the kitchen table. 2 pens, 1 piece of paper. And we wrote, "Whatever the distance, whatever the time, we find our way back. Always." The day he left again, I didn't cry. He didn't either. We kissed at the airport, full of love, full of promise. "This isn't goodbye," he said. "I know." And I meant it, because something had changed. We weren't unfinished anymore. We were just paused. And that was okay. In the weeks that followed, we talked more. Long calls, short texts, photos of our days. It wasn't perfect, but it was us. Stronger, calmer, wiser. One evening, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside, a tiny box, a note, and a plane ticket. The note read, "I found a program in New York. Starts this fall. I'm coming home, unless you'd rather come with me." I laughed, cried, fell to my knees on the floor, with joy I didn't know how to hold. We had been through so much, but we were still choosing each other. Every time. Part 9. I stood at JFK, passport in hand, waiting. People passed in waves. Laughter, tears, reunions happening all around me. And then, there he was, Jordan, wearing that same gray hoodie he always traveled in, hair messy from the flight, eyes scanning until they landed on me. He didn't say anything. He just walked up, wrapped his arms around me, and held on. And I let him. "I'm really here," he whispered. "I know." We didn't rush anything. He stayed with me for a while, but we took our time. This wasn't about reclaiming what we lost. It was about building something new. Together, we explored the city, like we were seeing it for the first time. He showed me how much he'd changed, and I showed him how much I hadn't. We met each other again, as two people who had lived, hurt, and healed. Not perfect, but perfectly real. Let's not make promises this time, I told him. Let's just show up, every day, for each other. Deal. Months passed. Fall turned to winter. Snow blanketed the sidewalks. We'd wake up to coffee and quiet mornings. He'd read while I wrote. Sometimes we'd switch. We talked about everything. The London days, the people we dated, the fears we still carried. There were no more secrets, only stories we hadn't shared yet. One night, we walked through Central Park, the city glowing behind us, snowflakes falling, breath visible in the cold air. He stopped, pulled something from his coat. A box, small, simple. I don't need a ceremony, he said. I don't need a crowd, or even a ring, really. But I want you, for as long as life will let me. I stared at him, at the man who once walked away, so he could grow, at the man who came back, because that growth led him home. Yes, I said, always yes. We didn't call it an engagement. We didn't rush into anything, but we knew what it meant. Two people choosing each other again and again. Later that night, he fell asleep next to me. His hand found mine under the blankets, and I whispered just loud enough for him to hear. This time, we're not running from anything. We're just home. Our life settled into something gentle. No grand decorations. No dramatic highs and lows. Just two people, sharing mornings, making dinner, and learning how to exist in peace. We moved into a small apartment in Brooklyn, exposed brick walls, a squeaky floorboard near the window. It was imperfect, but it was ours. He started teaching art at a local center. I kept writing stories, articles, and sometimes poems. I never let him read. We had rituals. Taco nights on Thursdays, sleeping in on Sundays. We fought, too, about laundry, groceries, whether the bedspread should be gray or blue. But even those moments felt safe, because now there was no fear underneath, no threat of leaving, no unspoken goodbyes. One night, I came home late from work, exhausted, burned out. He had set up a blanket for it. In the living room, fairy lights, popcorn, a cheesy movie cued on the screen. What is this? I asked, smiling despite myself. Emergency joy, he said. I crawled in beside him, resting my head on his chest. You always know what I need, I whispered. Because I pay attention, he replied. That night, I wrote him a letter. Not for any occasion, just because I needed to say it. I didn't give it to him right away. I hid it in his sketchbook, between two blank pages. Weeks passed. He never mentioned it. Then one morning, he woke me up early. The sun was barely up. His eyes looked different, full, shiny. I found it, he said. The letter? He nodded. You wrote. I didn't know what real love looked like, until I saw how you watched me, when you thought I wasn't looking. I sat up, unsure what to say. I just needed you to know, I whispered. He kissed me, slow and quiet. I know, he said, and I watch you all the time. In that moment, I realized something. Love wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was soft, steady, like a heartbeat you forgot you were hearing, until someone reminded you. It was there. We were having dinner when he got the call. At first, he didn't say anything, just stared at his phone, fork frozen halfway to his mouth. What is it? I asked. He swallowed hard. My dad, he said softly. He's sick. I didn't ask how bad. I could see it in his eyes. And I knew what was coming next. I have to go back. For a while, we packed his suitcase together, neither of us saying what we were thinking. What if this was goodbye? What if he didn't come back the same? What if I wasn't there to help him hold everything together? At the airport, he clutched my hand so tightly I could feel his heartbeat in his palm. "You don't have to wait for me," he said suddenly. "Jordan, I mean it. I don't want to hold you back if it gets too hard." "Stop." I cut in. "We don't do that anymore. We don't run. Not from each other." He kissed me, like he was afraid it might be the last time. And then he was gone, just like before. But this time, it didn't feel like the end. This time, I had roots here, and so did he. We called every day. He told me about hospital visits, old family grudges, and how his dad had softened. "It's strange," he said once. "He's trying now. It's too late for some things, but not everything." I listened, even when I didn't know what to say, even when I could hear the weight in his voice. One night, he said something that stuck. "You were right. Love isn't loud. It's showing up. It's staying." "You're still showing up," I said. Even from there, the weeks turned into 2 months. And then, a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it, and there he was. No warning, no suitcase, just him. "Hi," he said. I stared in disbelief. "What are you doing here?" "He passed," he said softly. "I'm so sorry." He told me something before he went. He said, "I'm glad you had the courage to love someone, even when I didn't teach you how." We stood there, silent, tears threatening to spill. "I needed to be with you," he whispered. "I didn't want to go through this alone." "You're not alone." I pulled him inside and held him for hours. No words, just warmth, just being. And once again, we found each other, not in passion, not in thrill, but in grief, in truth, because that, too, is love. Part 10. Grief didn't leave us quickly. It clung to the edges of our days, quiet, unexpected, heavy. Some mornings, he couldn't get out of bed. Other days, he cleaned the apartment twice over, as if movement could make the ache go away. And I stayed, not with answers, not with fixes, just presence. "You don't have to carry this alone," I'd say. "Let me help you hold it." He'd nod, sometimes cry, but always he stayed open. And that mattered more than anything. We started going for walks again. Small ones, around the block, then to the park, then to the museum, where he used to sketch in college. "Funny," he said once, as we stood in front of a painting he loved. "I used to look at this and feel so alone. Now, I don't." Healing didn't happen all at once. But it happened in the quiet spaces, in shared coffee cups, in laughter that started to come back, more often than tears. One night, he found the poem I had scribbled months ago, tucked into the back of my notebook. He didn't ask permission. He just read it. And when he looked up, his eyes were shining. "You wrote this about me?" "Every line," I said. He held me that night, like I was the last poem he'd ever need. Weeks later, he started painting again. Not for work, not for anyone, just for himself. He brought home giant canvases, left paint smudges on our kitchen floor, stayed up late listening to soft music as colors danced beneath his fingers. And one day, he asked me to pose for him, not smiling, not performing, just sitting. "I want to capture you, the way I see you," he said, "strong and soft, and everything in between." I sat for hours as he worked, and when he turned the easel around, I saw myself. But more than that, I saw how deeply he had come to know me. "Do you like it?" he asked. "I love it, because you painted me, with love in every brushstroke." We weren't perfect. We still argued, still forgot to buy milk, still made dumb mistakes. But there was no fear anymore. No wondering if the other would leave when things got hard, because we had already proven what most people only hope to. That love doesn't always arrive when it's convenient. Sometimes it shows up when everything feels broken and chooses to stay, while it all gets rebuilt. And slowly, gently, we built. Spring came early that year. The kind of soft bloom that makes you believe in fresh starts. The city shed its gray layers, and so did we. One morning, as we stood brushing our teeth, he looked at me through the mirror. "You ever think about leaving the city?" "Sometimes," I said. "Why?" "Just wondering if we're ready to build something bigger, quieter, slower." I watched the way he rinsed his toothbrush, so casual, like he hadn't just said something. That shook my heart. Where would we go? Anywhere. Somewhere with space. Maybe the porch. I laughed. "You and your dream porch." "I want a life where we drink coffee on quiet mornings and wave at neighbors we actually know." It didn't happen overnight, but 3 months later, we signed the lease. A small house in upstate New York, a porch, just like he wanted. We packed everything ourselves, boxed our past lives into cardboard and duct tape. Our last night in Brooklyn, we slept on the floor, just us, pizza box, blanket, and the faint echo of the life we built there. "Scared?" he asked. "A little," I admitted, "but mostly excited." "Me too." The new house smelled like pine and possibility. We painted the bedroom ourselves, argued over shades of blue, and settled on green. He planted a small garden. I watched him kneel in the dirt, sunlight on his shoulders, and thought, this is the version of love no one writes poems about, but they should. One evening, we had friends over for dinner. The table was mismatched, plates chipped, but the laughter was whole. Someone asked how we met. He smiled, looked at me. We met as two people, pretending we weren't falling for each other. And now, we wake up next to the truth every day. Later that night, I stood by the window and watched him clean up. Music played low, the hum of a home alive. "You know," I said, "you didn't just change my life. You became it." He walked over, took my hand. "You didn't save me," he replied, "but you showed me how I could save myself." And just like that, we realized this wasn't just a new chapter. It was the beginning of a whole new story. It was raining the night he asked me to marry him. Not a big moment, no crowd, no ring hidden in dessert. Just the two of us, on the porch he once dreamed of. The storm danced around us, and we sat wrapped in a blanket, watching the sky argue with itself. "I know we never talked about this much," he began, "but if I were to ask you right now, would you say yes?" I looked at him, hair damp, eyes soft, and I didn't think, I felt. "Yes," I whispered, 1,000 times yes. He didn't even pull out a ring. We just laughed, like idiots in the rain, kissing under thunder. Some things don't need an audience. Some love stories bloom quietly, just like that. We didn't rush a wedding. We planned it slowly, savoring each piece. Not because we needed the perfect day, but because we had already built the perfect us. On the morning of the ceremony, I stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize the person looking back. Not because I looked different, but because I had never looked so whole. When he walked down the aisle, I saw every version of him. The boy who ran, the man who returned, and the soul that chose me over and over again. We exchanged vows. We wrote in secret. Mine was simple. I don't promise perfection. I promise presence. I promise to stay when it's easier to leave, to listen when silence feels safer, and to love you, not in moments, but in every ordinary, unremarkable day. We get to wake up beside each other. He cried. I cried. Everyone cried. And when we kissed, it wasn't just the end of the ceremony. It was the beginning of our forever. Later that night, as we lay in bed, he turned to me and said, "You know what's funny? All those years ago, I thought I wasn't even gay." I laughed. And now, I'm yours. Whatever that means. Whatever word you want to give it. I'm yours. We fell asleep like that, fingers laced. No fear, no hiding, just truth. Because sometimes love doesn't kick down the door. Sometimes it sits beside you quietly and reaches for your hand. And if you're lucky, you hold on forever.